Any fire plan drills at all, so don't worry about that. If you do hear the fire alarm go off at all, you've got a fire exit just these doors here. If you're in this room, if you're in the coffee area, there's just a fire exit to your left behind you as you walk out, or you've got the front entrance that you can walk out of as well. The fire evacuation point is just outside the front doors, across the road onto the grassed area there. Your breakfast tomorrow will be in the main house, as will your breakfast on Sunday. Your lunch tomorrow will be over in the Stables restaurant, in the main house again, with the dinner, in the evening on Saturday in the Cormorant, and your lunch on Sunday over here in the Stables restaurant. Sorry, really confusing. It's all in your programs. Apologies. I've got about 3 different groups. I'm trying to say this, so I'm getting a bit confused with that. Sorry about that. Read it in your programs. My name's Luke. If you need me at all during your stay, I'm going to be here from 7 tomorrow till about 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow, and then Sunday till you leave. Just dial 0 for many of the room phones you have. You've got 2 in this room, you've got 1 in your bedroom. Just dial 0, ask for Luke, and I'll come and see you soon if I'm in, if I'm not already in. Firstly, you've got obviously coffee points, you've got those there. Have you guys all seen the toilets in the area as well? Yeah? They're literally behind these doors here, so just pop there. You need those. Anything you do need, just come and find me. I'll be around. If you do need a buggy at all, to get yourself down to the restaurants or the other buildings, again, just dial 0, ask for Luke, and I'll get a buggy arranged for you. If you guys can pre-book those, that would be good, because then we can sort of make sure we're there for you rather than you guys waiting around. And if there's quite a few of you, if you all book for the same time, then we can do like shuttle runs for you, so you haven't got to wait half as long as well. Other than that, I'll hand you over to David.
Thanks very much, Luke. Falls to me to give you a formal welcome here, although some of you have been here a few hours now. It doesn't seem a year since most of us were asked to gather together down in sunny Devon. Quite a lot's happened since then, which we'll be hearing more about. I hope you have reasonably hassle-free journeys, and I hope you'll appreciate the facilities that are here. This is obviously a new step for us, take us out of our comfort zone, I think is the expression. And most, if not all of you, of course, know that we had to scoot around somewhat in the last 2 weeks to come here instead of to another bigger venue in Reading. Having said that, I want to thank right at the outset Jerry, but Ken in particular, who's done a huge amount of additional work. Any complaints, of course, no, seriously, he has worked tirelessly over the last 10 days to get you all informed, and as far as I can see, you're all here. And I do hope that you enjoy the facilities that you've got through. I haven't got permission to say this, but I'm going to say it. If anybody is out of pocket from what they would otherwise have been because of the change of venue, then you let us know. I think that's all I'm going to say. The arrangement of the facilities is obviously not something that we're used to, but it has its advantages in terms of things moving around a little bit. And hopefully we'll soon be oriented, and despite to go in the right place at the right time for food and refreshment and Jerry will talk more about that and particular guests in a moment. There was only one other thing that I was going to say, you may already be aware of it. There was another small church group in this building and facilities way there. Whether there would be any fraternisation, I think is the word between but if you want to change, then there's an alternative available. We'll send a message, similar message. I hope there won't be any issues tomorrow. It's kind of hard, but there is, we think the facilities are large enough. There is a small wedding, smallish wedding, down in the main house tomorrow afternoon and evening. Also somebody else, I think, jazz section of the Courtyard Restaurant tomorrow evening. So if anybody doesn't want to focus on the problems of Europe, so I think enough for me. I'm going to hand over to Shirley, who's going to commend the weekend for us in prayer, and then Rob is going to lead us in time of worship.
Thanks, David. I'm not going to stand up in front of all of you, but I'm just going to sit down here because I kind of feel more comfortable. Yeah, so Father God, we come before you this evening as your children, as one family. And we're so grateful that you've called us into your wonderful family. We're so grateful to be called your children, Father God. And we thank you that you have come before us into this weekend. You have prepared the way, that none of us are here by accident, that each one is here ready to know the blessing of their Father in heaven, and to hear about how together we can make a real difference in this world. We thank you that your light is arising in Europe, and despite the challenges that we face in these days, we know that Jesus, you said that you are building your church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. So we look to you, Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, to help us to grow up to be the sons and daughters of God that you've called each one of us to be. And so we pray that this weekend, Father God, we will know more of what it means to follow after your Son Jesus, to follow after your heart. And we pray that whilst we're here enjoying this time together, that those in Europe that are represented by the speakers and those that aren't with us over this weekend, they will know your blessing, Father God. They will know your provision, and they will know your goodness to them. So we commit this weekend to you in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Thanks, Jerry. Good to see you. Good to be here. So we're trying to turn the echo and things off. There we go. Teething problems. We need to switch over the projector as well, don't we? We're all going to do that one first, right? We're kind of learning as we go along, yeah? But we're going to sing 2 or 3 songs together and just put our focus of our attention on just bringing praise for a short while before I hand over to Jerry. So shall we stand and let's sing together, Praise My Soul, the King of Heaven. Praise my soul, the King of Heaven. To his feet your train praise. As the living stalwart giver, to lively his praise should sing. Praise him, praise him, praise him, praise him, praise the everlasting King. For his grace and favor to our fathers in his prayer. Praise him still the same forever, slow to chide and swift to rest. Praise him, praise him, praise him, praise him, glorious in his faithfulness.
the light, He tends and spares us. When our people fail us, in His hand He gently lets us, rescues us from all our burdens. Praise Him, praise Him, praise Him, praise Him. Widely as His mercy flows, widely as His mercy flows. Angels help us to adore Him. You behold Him face to face. Sun and moon bow before Him. Let us all in time praise. Praise Him, praise Him, praise Him, praise Him. Praise with us, all the praise. Praise with us, the God of praise. Praise Him, praise Him, praise Him, praise with us, the God of praise. Praise with us, the God of praise. My Jesus, my Savior, Lord, there is none like you. All of my days, I want to praise the wonders of your mighty my comfort, my shelter, tower of refuge and strength. When every breath, all that I am, never cease to worship you. Shout to the Lord, all the earth, let us sing. Power and majesty, praise to the King. Mountains bow down and the seas will roar at the sound of your name. I sing for joy at the work of your hands. Forever above, forever I stand. Nothing compares to the promise I have in you. My Jesus, my Savior, Lord, there is none like you. All of my days, I want to praise the wonders of your mighty love. My comfort, my shelter, tower of refuge and strength. Let every breath, all that I am, never cease to worship
majesty, praise to the King. Mountains bow down and the seas will roar at the sound of your name. I sing for joy at the work of your hand. Forever I'll love you, forever I'll stand. Nothing compares to the promise I have. Oh, shout to the Lord, all the earth, let us sing. Power and majesty, praise to the King. Mountains bow down and the seas will roar at the sound of your name. I sing for joy at the work of your hands. Forever I'll love you, forever I'll stand. Nothing compares to the promise I have. No, nothing compares to the promise I have. Oh, nothing compares to the promise I have in you.
Lord, we thank you for those promises that we have in you. And we ask you, Holy Spirit, that this weekend as we gather together, as we seek to learn of you and of the work that you are doing, as we seek to learn more of your kingdom, we pray that, Lord God, we should be so strongly aware of your presence with us. That, Lord, we wouldn't just learn about work and things, people, but we would also learn of you. And be able to bring all glory and praise to you, Lord Jesus. Come down, O love divine. Come down, O love divine. Seek thou the Son of mine. And visit the light of the glory. Oh, Comforter, draw near within my heart appear, and kindle in thy holy flame strong. Let it freely burn till earthly passions turn to dust and ashes in sweet consume. And let thy glorious light shine ever on my sight, and clothe me under while I walk in you. And so the yearning strong with which my soul will walk shall far across the narrow human day. For none can guess His grace till we create a place wherein the Holy Spirit makes His dwelling. For none can guess your grace.
till we create a place wherein your Holy Spirit makes its dwelling.
My turn to now.
Welcome you. Whoa. It is my turn to welcome you. Good to see you all here tonight. And apologies for taking you a little further, for some of you at least, along the motorway and to this venue. But I know there is a reason for it. And God's got a real plan for us being here. And we just need to trust Him for that, don't we? Thank you, Chili. Before I actually do a welcome, I'm going to ask Melanie to come up. I was going to wear this, I did earlier, but I'm not going to, not this time. Maybe something I should buy. Melanie, please come up. She's going to talk to us about what's on the table.
Over there on the table, we have these lovely goods which have been made by a project called Threads of Hope in Athens. Cecilia Sakatira, who works alongside our partner, Viorica, felt that it wasn't enough just to reach out and tell people about Jesus, but that the women who had been caught in trafficking needed something that was going to practically help them to actually turn their lives around. And she said to God, what can I offer? And felt that the thing she loved to do was to sew. So she set up this sewing project and has employed some of the women in the project to sew these wonderful crafts and to give them and they have Bible study and sewing, and they're also going to be doing more life skills class to try and get them out of their lives sort of from trafficking and prostitution, and to give them a future and a hope. The prices are in pounds, if people were wondering, because there's just little figures on that Cecilia's put on everything, but it's all in pounds. So if you'd like to purchase anything, please do. If you could just write in the little book over there what it is you purchased and the price, and then there's an envelope for the money, or hand it to me and I'll make sure Cecilia gets it all. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Melanie. And thank you, Rob, for leading us in worship. Brilliant. We just want the Holy Spirit here this weekend, don't we? In a big way. Wait upon Him to come. And just welcome Him tonight. Welcome Him to move amongst us. We don't just want to hear about good things that are happening, do we? We want to have an encounter with God. And that changes things. That makes a difference. So our theme this weekend, and I hope you don't mind me sitting on a stool, but it feels much more comfortable, and it's a relaxing evening, I hope. So you've had a long journey, some of you, so I don't want to keep you from your beds too long. We're going to introduce all of our guests in a moment, but before we do, the theme being making a difference in Europe. Well, making a difference is the theme, but as an organisation, our mission is to make a difference in Europe. So that being the theme, I'm going to skip the next chart because it was the official welcome, but I suppose just dwell on it for a moment and just note your language is there for you, so welcome. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce either of those, or whether they are. Those of you who can, please what? The nationals can? Yes, of course. Thank you. But maybe you will when you come up in a moment. Okay. So tonight, we've done some of this already. We're going to move into a live lounge in a moment, and we're going to introduce the guest speakers to you. And then we're also going to meet the 10 team because it's changed since last year, and we've got a brilliant team working at 10. So I'd like to introduce them to you in a moment. Well, we'll do that before we actually go to the quiz at the end, or Ovaltine time if that's exactly what you're looking for. I can't promise Ovaltine, but
There is coffee and tea and all sorts of stuff on tap whenever you want, 24/7. So please feel free whenever you want. If I'm boring you, then please go and get a coffee and come back. Or what? So, making a difference. That's the theme. I wondered, do any of you know who this smart man is? It could be one of our guests. He's cheating because he already knows. Any? No. Close. Close. Yeah, I was dressed up. Well, maybe I'll give you another clue. This is a bigger clue. You could read his name if you had really good 20/20 eyesight, but maybe not. But if you see what's going on there, you're right. I have Latimer. It is Bishop Latimer and Ridley. And because we're in Latimer Place, what better place to remember somebody who made a difference and made a real difference for us. We now have the Bible, which we have free in our hands. And that was one of Latimer's missions in his life, wasn't it, before he was burned at the stake. But one thing really grabs my attention, what he said to Ridley when he was being burned at the stake. And this is what he said. Play the man, Master Ridley. We shall this day light such a candle by God's grace in England as I trust shall never be put out. That's what he said as the flames were coming up around him. What a man. And what we have to be thankful for, the freedom we have in the UK to read the Word of God, to have it in our hand in so many languages, down to guys like this in the past who gave their lives. And the reason he was saying to Ridley, play the man, come on, be a man. He knew they were being burned, but he said, be a man. Don't be weak in this situation, because Ridley didn't burn. They stacked all the straw and the wood around him, so much so that his body didn't burn, just his legs. And so he was a lot longer in that pain. And the gunpowder, which they sometimes trap around their necks, didn't go off. And this was in 1555, and it was in Oxford it happened. So I know someone's going to Oxford tomorrow, so maybe you can go down to the square where they have the memorial of Latimer. But yeah, we thank God for men like that. And I know we're going to hear from men who are and have the same passion, and women who have the same passion these guys did and have been through very difficult situations in their life. So we'll hear from them a little later. Who is this? Anyone? He's an author. John Piper. Yeah. John Piper, author and teacher, said, you can read it, but whatever you do, find the God-centered, Christ-exalting, Bible-saturated passion of your life and find your way to say it and live it and die for it, and you will make a difference that lasts. You will not waste your life. What a way to start the weekend, to have those two things in our mind as we go forward about men who say things like that, who make a difference. Because that's our passion, isn't it? That's why we're here today. Because we want to make a difference. We want to see God turn up in our street, in our city, in our town, and make a difference. So let's just remember those as we go. And I should bring a few more over the weekend of faces for you to think on and quotes from them so we can go forward with that. I didn't mean to put that one up. Sorry. It was supposed to have not been there. So I'm going to skip him, if you don't mind. And we'll have him. It was supposed to have been closed, but if you remember who it was, some of you may already know who it is. And sometimes people make a difference and influence our lives, don't they? Those people who like John Piper, like that man I put up now, is a big influence on my life. Not that I was living when he was around, but just what I read. And I'm sure others have made a difference in your life. So, the plan tonight, it is a bit of a plan, and it's a trial, so we're going to go with it and see what happens. The plan is that we're going to invite our guests up here, a couple at a time, and they're going to stay while the next couple come up. We're going to talk to them, or I'm going to ask them some questions, and they're going to tell us what's been going on, what's happening, and tell us about their life. And I want to be relaxed. And maybe there's an opportunity, depends on how the time goes. Unfortunately, I'm in a place where I can't see the clock. So we may be here a long time. But I trust not. Anyway, so first, I have a bit of a flag, so some of you will know who's coming up first, won't you? It's on the beautiful brochure we've got together here, so you better have a look. Where's that flag come from? Somebody tell me. Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I have to say it all, otherwise I'm in deep trouble. So Slavko is, of course, a man renowned for his teaching and for what he's been doing, but he's been through a whole bundle of stuff, hasn't he, as well? And Sanya, his wife. So let them come up. Let's get them seated up here. I'll give them my mic. Welcome them. You can sit in the editorial function. And we're going to move around and shuffle around in a minute. So I need to get you a mic each. They're on? Okay, they're on. You've got a mic each, so we can have a few questions. I've got some pictures, actually, which might help me. So to get us going on this little journey, I think I'm going to put a first picture up, which is, let's skip that one. It's this baby. So here we have a young man. So, Slavko, do you want to tell us what all this is about? Are you a beach boy, or what is it?
Well, actually, this photo is taken 1992 or 1993, and it's taken on Cyprus. So when war in Bosnia started in April 1992, that was when I first time in my life prayed to God. I was from atheist family. My parents were communists. That's how they raised me. And when war started, I'm also from mixed marriage. My father was Serb, my mother was Croat, and war was between Serbs and Croats. So when war started, I had to pick side and to fight against one of my parents, half of my family, and half of myself. And I was really desperate, didn't know what to do. So I prayed first time in my life. I said, God, if you exist, please help me now and show me what to do. And this is where I ended up.
A nice place. Very nice place, yeah. By the beach. But I don't think all of your life was on the beach, was it?
No, no. Also, I wanted to add, it's not actually where I ended up. I ended up back in Bosnia, where I promised to my wife and to myself that we will never return back there. In our country, there is a long history of wars, and every generation had at least one war. My grandmother, she lived 93 years. She had 5 wars or uprisings in her lifetime. So we said we will never go back. But we ended up back in Bosnia after we became Christians. So that a different plan. But what was your question?
I'm going to go to the next picture because I think the next picture has some interesting additives to it. So tell me a little bit about what you think is, well, what is going on here. I mean, you're a little younger here, I think. Is that correct? I should have perhaps put it the other way around.
Yes,
but
yes.
I like the other one first because I think that's a good picture. Yeah.
Well, after I finished high school and after I came back from the army, I did my army time. I started to study mechanical engineering. And former Yugoslavia, during the communism, there was no such thing as organized crime, and there were no casinos in former Yugoslavia. So when communism fell, it opens door for democracy, but also for organized crime. And one man who was criminal and he had casinos all over Europe and North Africa, he opened first casino in my hometown, and I was offered the work there. So when I was 19, that's when I was 19, I started to work in casino, and soon I was diligent worker and good, and soon I became boss over 3 casinos. So war stopped that, and war brought that first prayer, which stopped my certain way to destruction. And God had different plan and changed that.
Amen. Yeah. I understand reading some of the things about you, though, that there are some technical things you put into these boxes to create some money to fall at the bottom.
Yeah, actually, the owner, the guy who owned casinos and Mr. George, it's a long story. We don't have time, but he was stealing from his partners, and then we workers, we were stealing from him. So, yeah.
So everybody steals from everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah, good. So at least it's fair, isn't it? Okay, so shall we move on perhaps to...
Just to mention, I repented and Jesus took all of that to the cross. So that's behind me. I knew him.
Praise God. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Now, here you're a little young, but I think the next picture actually... isn't that beautiful? Sanya, this is where you enter into the story. Is that correct?
Yes. Actually, it was 6 years before.
Of course. This is just getting married.
Yes. So Slater and I, we are married for 22 years. So wedding, 44 hours wedding. So we date for 6 years. I'm raised in Catholic family, and I knew everything about God, but I didn't know God. So when we start to date, I say no to church, no to going there. And when war starts, we decide to just run away from our country. We didn't want to stay there. So we ended up on Cyprus, and we married there. And
because I was a really strong atheist, when we started to date, I put two conditions in front of her. I said, I really like you, I would like to date you, but if you want to date me, first you have to stop to go to church. She would go occasionally. And second, in post-communist Yugoslavia, it was popular to have religious symbols, even if you are not believer, or she would wear crosses on the earrings. So I said, stop to wear that and stop to go to church, and then we can date. And today she is pastor's wife. So everything is possible to God. Amen.
Amen. Yes. Yeah. So you got married, things moved on. Here I see you are right, beautiful bridge.
yes,
It's a significant bridge, isn't it?
yes, it's in town Mostar in Herzegovina. Its old bridge was destroyed during the last war, but they rebuilt now. It looks like the old one. Yeah.
Now we build even older.
Yes. Why not?
Is it stronger? Yeah. Okay, so you lived together. When you came back to Bosnia, you went to Belgrade.
We came back to Serbia.
Oh, Serbia to Belgrade,
Yes,
of course, yes,
yes.
strong country.
We lived there for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
There I stayed pregnant with our first child, our daughter Jovana. So she born there in Belgrade, and after that we moved back to Mostar.
Mm. And your daughter is an amazing testimony, I believe.
Yes,
You want to tell us about that?
yes. I had problem when I was a teenager. I had problem with backbones, and I wear some. I don't know how you call that, but it's like corset.
A brace or a
Yes.
corset, yeah.
And then when it was time to deliver child, I couldn't. The doctor said that I have problem. They had to do C-section, and then on the end, when I wake up and I ask, is everything okay? They told me that that we have to go with Jovana to visit the doctor. So I thought that is normal because it was my first child, so I think that's usually what we have to do. But actually, they said that she had some problems, that she has, that probably she will never move, she cannot sit, probably she will never sit, eat alone. So that was really hard for me, for us, when I heard that she will be child with special needs. It was really hard, especially because it's our first child. And then in that time, we shared that with Sarko's mom. She was Christian. She became, during the war, she became Christian, and she shared that with her church. And they pray for us, for our daughter, and God healed her.
Hallelujah. I've got a picture in a moment which we can look at. It amazed me when I heard the story, and I see a picture. We'll come to that. Going back to now, you two, I guess this is you in Belgrade enjoying. Is that correct?
Yes.
Enjoying the good life.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
yes. Anything significant apart from having your first daughter there? Anything significant happened there?
After our
Yes.
So yeah, you remember he mentioned that when we start today, that he said to me not to go to church. Okay. So then he started to go in church. So I was at home and he started going to church. But I saw that he really started to change. So I thought that something happened. I saw that something happened in him, but I didn't know what. So he started to pray, he started to read Bible, he started to go in church, and he started to pray for me. So he really prayed hard for me.
Fantastic. And actually, I should have done this one earlier. This is your daughter.
Yes, it's Joanna.
Amazing gymnast, I believe.
Yes, she did rhythm for gymnastics. She stopped to practicing that 2 years ago.
Yeah. So then the trouble didn't finish then, did it, for you both and as a family? You, Slavko, went into various difficult situations. And this one here, I guess, by looking at the picture, you can tell he's been through some stuff physically. Do you want to talk about that?
I look like Yul Brynner here. Yeah, this was 8 years ago, and when I became Christian, we still lived in Serbia and Belgrade, and then God put on our heart, on my heart actually, not on my heart to go back to Bosnia and to be His witness there. And I was resisting. I was saying, no, this is not from God. I don't want to go back. I promise that I will not go back. Sanya was not Christian yet. She didn't like that idea. So, but God was really clear. So finally we headed back. Then we moved back to our hometown, to Mostar, started to attend church there. Then, long story short, Sanya became Christian, thank God. I started to serve in church. I was doing whatever I can and started to attend Bible school. And after some time, I became associate pastor. And then God called us to go to Sarajevo, which also we didn't want. Mostar West part where we lived and served is predominantly Catholic, and Sarajevo is predominantly Muslim. It's completely different, even it's very close, it's the same country, but different culture, different context. Anyhow, God again was very clear, so we moved to Sarajevo and we settled there, started church, and after 2-3 years, when everything seems fine, I had some physical problems, little, went to doctor. We have doctor in our church, and actually she advised me, she said you should follow that up. And I go to doctor, and it was news which you don't like to hear. He told me that I had cancer. I was 38 years old, and history in my family is that my father died of cancer when he was 38, but also my grandfather died of cancer when he was 38. So when it happened, I was pretty sure that it will happen again. I was not worried in a sense where I'm going. I knew that I'm going to heaven, but I was very worried for my family. What will happen with them? Sanya was unemployed, and I was just worried. Children were small. It was very difficult time. So this is, I think that this photo, this is, but at the end, this is 19th of May. I remember it was my birthday and I just finished chemotherapy, so it was after the treatments.
But praise God, you're healed.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. And you're here. Last year sorry you couldn't come because last year you had another situation.
Yeah, between this one and last year there was another situation. So this was very difficult, and really I grew a lot through that difficulty, and I think we as a family and as a church as well. And it was great to be, it was great, but it was to be supported by local church through that, and really love came out really in the action, and God was ministering to me in a special way. And I say that through 5 days of difficulties with having cancer, I grew more spiritually than in 5 years of, let's say, normal life. And I was thankful to God for that. And I was thinking, okay, I'm healed. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. Lord broke the pattern of history in my family. And I was thankful to Him. And then I had checkups every 3 months, and after 2 years you are supposed to move to every 6 months. And at the last checkup, on the second year, they found again cancer for the second time. And that one was pretty big in abdominal cavity, inoperable. So again, then, this is 5 years ago, 8 years ago, I didn't go through chemo. Then I go through chemo 5 years ago, and God did some miracles, and praise the Lord, now I'm today cancer free. Just this January, doctors declare me medically cancer free. But last year, a year ago, we were supposed to be at the conference with all of you, and thank you so much for your prayers and for your kind words and messages, and all of you who were there a year ago, you signed card for us with verses, with words of encouragement, and that really lifted me up, so thank you very much. As a consequence of second cancer, I had to remove, actually doctors had to remove my kidney, and they did a year ago, but they messed up a little bit. They cut my intestines, and then they realized that, so sent me to recovery with mess in my stomach. And instead of few weeks of recovery, it was 6 months of recovery. But again, thanks God, He was with me, with us through all that time. And I don't know, I cannot imagine how it would be through all those difficulties without Him. But He was with us, He led us through that, and as you can see, I'm in pretty good health today here among you, and thanks God for that.
Amen. Amen. There you are, as a happy family. It looks like you're all going to a degree. Is that about right? The third degree.
I have some excuses why I go so late to the degree. But yeah, I was 28 when I committed my life to Christ. And then after that I go to Bible school, but then I started to serve, and then I got sick, and so it took me quite a long time. So actually my goal was to graduate before my daughter, and I succeeded in that. It would be a shame if she graduated before me. So this is 2009, I think. Yeah.
Okay, time is going on, so I'm going to invite 2 more guests to come up and join us. There's a new flag, so I think we know who the flag is all about. So let's welcome Mircea and Ronela Christian. They're founders and directors of Rock of Ages Prison Ministries in Romania. Come up and join us. Hallelujah. So, 2 mics for you. I'm not sure what photos I have of you guys, but I think looking again at some of the history and some of the write-up I've got, Mertje, I think I get the feeling that in your younger days, you were a bit of a wild boy. No? Okay, well, here's my first photo of you guys. This looks like the pair of you together. So you were a wild boy, and I think, Ronella, you might have been a preacher's daughter. Is that about right? So how did this all come together? Because it wouldn't normally fit, would it?
No.
I think it was just God. I mean, no. I never dreamed to marry the man like he was. Like he was. Yeah, it was.
We have different dreams in that time. I mean, before that time. My dream was to be a very successful DJ. I was liking a lot of music. I was living on the seashore of Mamaia in Constanța. So, being a teenager was a great, challenge. During the time, it was time to live right because we have so much troubles by the other people around you being Christian. So, it was a challenge to live right always was a better option. I was loving the music, not actually everything else, but I was loving the music. So my desire was to have a very successful life to be a DJ in Constanța. And when we met each other, we discussed about how we our bathroom lights and we were in the other bedroom, and she was saying no, definitely. So this was how we met.
He was speaking a very foreign language for me. You know, I mean, I was in the church not because my father was a pastor, not just because of this, but because I really liked that, and I really liked to sing. And of course, my songs, I mean, the songs I used to sing, all the songs I used to write, they were very different. I didn't even hear about those songs he was speaking about. So, but you know what really attracted me, he came in our church to visit his brother. His brother was in a military service in our town. So he came to visit with him, and then he came in church, and I was maybe sitting somehow like I'm sitting now because I was playing in an orchestra. I love music, but not that kind of music. And yeah, we have to mention that. And I was looking, and our congregation wasn't too big, so I could notice that it's someone who's not from, and he was somewhere in the middle. And what really attracted me was were his eyes, really blue eyes. And a thought just crossed my mind. What if this would be your husband? Even I was 19, I didn't have any desire to get married.
And I believe, Mertje, you were love at first sight too, wasn't it?
Of course. Actually, I was going to Dej to meet Renata, but that should be my wife. And after 2 weeks, we met each other. I told her that you'll be my wife. And she said, okay, whatever.
Yeah, that's what we say today when we just don't want to listen to somebody.
I said exactly like Adam Eve.
As it is. Yeah. So you did get married, obviously. You're here together. But here we are. You have a beautiful picture of you two getting wed. But it must have been a bit of a challenge, obviously you being a wild boy, not a Christian, and then Ronella, of course, being a preacher's daughter. Did you have to make compromises? What caused you to get to know Jesus?
Something happened in my life. In 1992, I had to go to serve in the army for 1 year and 7 months. And during the service time in the army, I was one day they made a search in the suitcases and the luggage to everyone because in the communist country was something they was more afraid about God than afraid about enemies. So God was one of them. So they found out in one of my colleagues' suitcase, they found out a prayer. He was Catholic, and this was a big deal in the whole compound. They asked us to go outside, and they started to ask everyone if you believe in God. Well, my parents were Christians. I was going to church, but I would never commit my life to God. So they put us in the line and they started to question us, do you believe in God? Do you believe in God? I knew a lot of stories about Christians being the prison because of their faith. I knew for a fact a lot of Christians would suffer so much because they were Christians, just because they were Christians. I knew that during even I was like I just mentioned, every Sunday night I would lift from the church. After the church service in the night, we were going on in front of the cathedral in Constanza, and we were singing the Christian songs. And the police was searching after us, and they were running from us, and we were running and came back 1 hour later and singing again the same songs for the people who was walking on the beach. But in that particular night, in the day, in the army, when they was coming closer with the question to me, in my mind I started to have a lot of questions. If I will say yes, maybe I should lose my freedom, like all the others. I'll never be able to go back home. Maybe it'll be better to say no. I don't know. But the question was coming closer to me. At the same time, the Holy Spirit was in my mind, and he mentioned that verse. If you be ashamed of me, come to the kingdom. I will be ashamed. So when they asked me, Capital, do you believe in God? I said yes. What? Maybe it's second one. So we was filling the whole compound by which we said that we believe in God. They asked us to turn first to the whole compound, and they asked the other colleagues to laugh and so after they laughed a lot, they took us aside and they started questioning us why we believe in God. First of all, first one was that man, that colleague was Catholics, and he said, my parents are Catholics, and they told me that there's nothing wrong to believe in God. So for that I believe. Okay, that's the second one. The second one was was born in the close town where Noah was born, and he was a very funny man. And he said, my mom told me to believe, and I believe so. That's it. So they started to laugh, but they asked me why you believe in that. So I told them, my parents are Christian. I cannot say I'm Christian, but I believe in God because every morning when I wake up and I go and I look in my mirror, I cannot believe this just happened to me. There has to be someone behind it. I watch on my finger, on my hand, it's me. I like the trees, I watch down the plants, and from the black ground is growing a blue flower. Should be a God. Well, the mayor who was questioning us was asking me, what kind of church are they? That kind of church you have seen the cars and keyboards to see us. Okay? So that night they punished us, they put us to be watchdogs. So I have to watch somewhere outside in the yard. So in that night, between 12 and 3 o'clock in the night on the second shift, I was standing outside and I was thinking about what happened that day. And I realized that I made a statement that I believe in God, but I knew somewhere in my heart and my life was not there. So in that night, without anyone beside me, I just knelt down, started weeping, and asked the Lord to forgive me. But something happened that night, and something I will never forget, and this I'm so thankful to God because she showed me so much grace. When I was starting to pray, the rain started to fall. And I said, I don't care, I will stay here. I don't try to hide somewhere to be dry. I will stay here because for me it's so important to know the Lord will forgive me. And I am safe. So I pray, and suddenly I feel so much joy in my heart. And I was so thankful, and I will just stop to pray, and I was just thankful for that. But when I was looking to the sky, exactly above me was pure crystal. That joy just filled my heart. I knew on that day that I'm a new person in Christ. That I received the grace, I received the forgiveness. And that changed my life. How did it change my life? From that night, from that day, actually the next day, I was started to look from the other Christians who was in that campaign. And because I had a villa, I was careful, I could have something power. So every night I was trying to take those Christians and do that under my leadership, and I was going on the roof. And every night we had prayer. So that actually was the point where the Lord changed my heart. And then when we was prepared to get married, I was a man.
Yeah, praise God. Yeah. So, going on a bit further, I believe this is a family here. You have 4 boys. Yeah. So tell us about your family, anything about them, because I don't know too much about your 4 boys, apart from they're not this age anymore.
So we have 4 boys. After the first one, I really wanted to have a girl, but that was God's plan to have just boys. When we had 10 years since we got married, and we had in that time 3 boys, God called us to be in the ministry. And after that, we had Stevie, the youngest one. We are very, very grateful for our boys. And they are all Christian, they are baptized, they are working in the church, serving the Lord in the church. It is just that being in the ministry, we have to be away very much from them. And of course, we are praying now that God will heal their hearts. And but it's something this is something I regret, that we were not wise enough with our time with them. But it's something I'm really happy that they could see in our family what means to live by faith. Because there were times when we had to pray for everything, even for food. So when I remember a moment when we had to pray, it was winter time and we didn't have money to put propane in our tank to warm up the house. For 1 month we sold a computer, and then we said we will sell the car. So we were speaking one night all together there, and our oldest son, he said, I don't understand you. Why we don't go to pray? Because they saw in our life that a lot of things they are resolved with prayer, that God will respond. So he said, let's pray. Maybe God will do something about it. Why to sell the car? We need the car. So we prayed, and the next day we received an email. Someone told us that he sent us money. Usually he used to send money for the ministry, but this time he said, I will send just a little bit for the ministry. The rest is for you, for your personal needs, to warm up the house. And we went through all the winter with those money. This is something I'm really happy that our children could see. And now, because they have their challenges in life, like anybody, they know what to do. They know where to go. Our oldest son, he's 32 will be in October. He's married. He has 2 children. And the others, Alex, he's 28. Doro is 26 and Timmy 20. Yeah, they are still children to their parents. They don't want to get married yet.
Fantastic, and it just goes to my heart too when you talk about your family like that, because when they are important to a family, each one is very important. And when you're in ministry, they suffer. And reading your testimonies, and you both trained in certain disciplines, met you, you were an engineer. Now you're a chemist in a laboratory. You earn enough money to survive, and you give it all up to work in the prison, which you're going to talk to us about tomorrow. So I don't want to talk about your prison ministry right now, but what I get from reading your testimony is how much you've given up, and therefore your kids looking at that and seeing that they were, okay, careful, you had a car, you had a house, you had a warm house before, then they were suffering. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's something they said after they grew up. They said because they saw us traveling so much, sometimes going to raise support, not just traveling for the ministry. And they said, okay, we will grow up and we will make enough money to support all your ministry, so you'll not have to go again somewhere. and they are doing this. They are doing, especially the second one, for example, he's doing it.
Fantastic. I've got another photo here which I'm not sure what that's about. Is it a team you're supporting, or do you like red? I'm in tune with the 10 team, red anyway, aren't you? But what is that?
These are our boys today.
Yeah.
Actually, the picture, they don't like to take pictures. It is a constant battle to take pictures. So, in order to make them to take a picture, I bought a sweater, the same color and everything for Christmas. And you should see the face of the lady in the store when she saw 5 sweaters the same, of course, different sizes. So we bought that for them, and I bought that for them, and then I said, now you owe me a picture. So I have a picture.
Good. I'm not sure you can see what's coming next, but I got a picture here which I think will bring back some memories. William R. Tolbert Jr., 1973, a while back. Tell me about that guy.
1973 was a Sunday morning. We were going to church, and traveling with my father close to church, and we started to see every corner was a policeman in the police car. And I asked my father, what we're going to do. He said, doesn't matter, we go to church. Doesn't matter what will happen, we go to church.
This was in communist time.
Yeah, this was a communist. So we was close to the church, and the police was everywhere. I mean, every corner, everywhere was the police. We stood up in front of the door of the church, and they started to question us, the name, age, the address, everything. And this was 9 and 15 minutes. The church normally was starting the prayer time 9:30. We went in the church, we sit inside, nobody was speaking what is happening. We just wait to see what will happen. In the front door was the police, outside was police, everywhere was police. So 9:30 the door was locked. And the door was locked, and nobody knew why it was locked. Nobody could enter since the time. William Tolbert was the president of Liberia. He was a Christian. And he had an official visit to the Ceausescu, former president. So he came to visit him, and they had a meeting together, and he asked him that he wanted to go to church. So Sunday morning he came to church at 9:40. When he stepped in the church was packed with people who entered before. Everybody was coming after that, not coming to church. So he came in the church and he preached for 1 hour. And what was for me, I didn't understand. It was something amazing to be in the church. But after the year was passing, and I started to realize that there were so many people outside. They came 9:35. They could not get in. And 2 years ago, I met some friends our age, and we just went back members and we laughed. And I told them about, remember that day? They said, yes, I was going outside. I was standing outside during the time you're standing inside. I said, you're late. It's your problem. So I think this is happening with us sometimes. I start to realize more and more. It's a time for everything, not later. It's that time when we should do that.
And God's time is perfect. He is never late, and he's never early. He's always bang on time, isn't he? Amen. Okay, I'm going to go to a new flag. And of course we know who that is for, don't we? So it's Teddy and Diddy, who are the senior pastors of Sofia First Baptist Church in Bulgaria. So welcome, Bulgaria. Yeah, great. So, welcome. So we now have all of our guests up here. We've got somebody else coming tomorrow who is to preach, but great to see you again. I only saw you back last year, didn't I? Yes, in Sofia. That was
Came all the way to Sofia.
amazing time it was too. Such a celebration. So we're going to look at that. Now I don't have that many photos, but I have some of you guys. Sorry, I haven't got too many, but we can look at a few. So I want to just, first of all, I've got this beautiful picture here of you two. I'm not sure how long ago that is, but I don't think it's that long ago, is it?
That is about 2 years ago.
So my recollection of you and my history and family, of course, first of all, Gary is here. Gary Cox is here somewhere. And I think he was one of the guys you met first of all when you came into the UK.
True, yes. We came to the UK in 1991 by an invitation by an organization called the Open Air Campaigners. We came to Bristol and did street evangelism, sketchboards.
We've got somebody here who does that.
But by the way, I would never forget the first Saturday we spent at Broadmead area in the middle of Bristol. It was a typical British Saturday. It was raining. Of course, we hadn't got used to the rain at that time. And there were hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, shopping at that day. And we tried to do the best with our sketchboard, and we stayed there for about, I would say, about 4 hours. And probably 3 or 4 people stopped because it was raining. But for us coming from Eastern Europe, this was quite a shock. We thought England was English first and then Christian. So we thought everyone would like to hear about Christ, because in those days in Bulgaria, the communism had just collapsed and we just got some freedom to start talking about Christ. And people were struggling whether they should listen about God or not. They were looking behind their back and so on. And we were quite disappointed. We cried that it didn't make sense for us. Then we spent the year in this place and we started to realize that.
So what I don't have too much of you, but I got another picture here which I'd like to get some. Oops, too far. That's the one. So there are 2 people in that picture which I think I've picked them out correctly, haven't I? No, not you.
Actually, yes, well done, Jeff. Right. That's me, but it's really fantastic to be here. Thank you so much. We've had a long history with your evangelism and now 10, and it was so wonderful to have you at the opening. It really meant a lot to us. So thank you for that. Well, you picked me out correctly, but the other one is actually my mother, the father of my husband.
Thank you, Jerry.
That's a great resemblance.
That looked like me, like 30 years old.
He's actually taking the picture. It looks like him now. Well, he's a bit taller.
No. This I didn't take the picture. This is one of the photos that we found in an old album that Derek Waite and Jane Waite had in their home. And this was a photograph we actually discovered.
There, who took the picture? Okay.
And that is my father, though. No doubt about it.
You're doing well anyway.
Well, quite a few of you know us, but for those who don't, we both of us grew up during the communist time. So we were so fortunate, so blessed that our parents were Christian. And we had the privilege of going to church since we were very young children, and then in our teenage years, we committed our life to God. It was, for me, it was when I was 16, the communists sent someone who was, well, let's start earlier, just one sentence. They tried to do all sorts of different techniques to ruin the church. Someone who said, you remember this time, that in 10 years' time there will be no Christian left. Well, years passed by, Christians were left, and they're still there. But what happened was one of the things that they wanted to do was to infiltrate their own people as pastors of the churches. And this happened to my church. So it was in 85 that this man came and just took over the pulpit, showed the piece of document, and he said, I'm the new pastor of this church, and from now on, whatever happens through me. And he just started preaching about love from 1 Corinthians 13. The people of the church left the building and just let him speak to the empty benches. But this was the time when I reevaluated my faith very deeply, because what I couldn't understand is why these people continue to have peace and joy in their hearts and continue to serve God. Are they not seeing what's happening? All these threats and different difficulties that are happening. And it was we started having illegal meetings at homes, and this was dangerous because a lot of confiscations were happening of Bibles and searches in the homes and so on. My father was they tried to push him into becoming an agent for them, so they would call him often for questioning. We didn't even know if he was coming back or not. So all sorts of these things were happening. But for me, seeing the faith of the people, seeing the way they continue to have their joy, it didn't matter the circumstances, was actually the reason for me to become a Christian. So this was, and then communism collapsed. Nobody expected that. Praise God, we never went back. But
I was going to say that photograph is taken up in the mountains, Bulgaria, the so-called Trila Mountain, and it is a camp. It's a camp for orphan children during the summer. And what they would do is during the summer break, they would take them up in the mountain. First, to take them away from people's view, and second, to give them some time up in the mountain. So we found them there that day, and the photograph was taken just before we gave them some goods and some food.
Technology.
We actually, all of that was hidden during the communist time, at least in Bulgaria. We didn't know these places existed, so we didn't know that there were these children that were hidden away. Most of the abandoned children were Roma children. Most of the sick children we found were Bulgarian children, because people were ashamed to have a sick child and they would just put it away. Actually, that's Sophia over there. This is a younger daughter. Older daughter's going to join us late tonight, apparently. When there were huge difficulties when Sophia was born, and they didn't know whether she would survive, whether she would be healthy or not, and she's totally healthy and completely healed, which is really wonderful. But I would never forget the fact that the doctors came to us and said, why don't you leave that child? You don't know if that child's going to be all right. You don't want to have a sick child if the child is sick. And I said, do you know where you're sending those children? Do you know when you advise parents what you do? Have you ever been to see that children? Have you ever smelled the smells of these places? Have you ever touched them? But God is marvelous, and He just picked up that and again provided help and provided everything that we necessary.
Going back to that moment, just for a second, they were saying first that she wouldn't live. Then they were sure she wouldn't be normal. Then they had a scan, and they said this could go in any direction, but we're going to have a very, very sick child for the rest of your life. And then about a year later, that doctor said, I've been a doctor for 30-something years. I've never seen a recovery like that in my life. Now, up to that point, people were praying and fasting, and it was a miraculous healing. And you can see, but now we're becoming an artist now. So never believe what the doctors tell you. Look up. Look up.
And while we're mentioning your daughters, do you want to mention what's on the table over there?
Oh, will be on the table.
It will be. So it's not there yet, but it will be. So let's give us a bit of an insight to that.
Thank you, Jim. We have a kiln for glass building at home. It started as a project that we want to do. Do you know what glass building is? You do. You cut glass, different species, different colors, different shapes, and then you use it in a kiln. You have an artist here, so and then you get beautiful, beautiful pieces. Sophie has actually been working. She's a student of the Fine Arts School in Sofia, and she's been working with the glass at home. So we have some coasters. Is this the right pronunciation? Yeah. Right. So they will be out tomorrow, and if you'd like to buy any of them, you can do that. They will be priced in pounds, and the money usually go to ministry.
Fantastic. Thank you. I was listening to a little archive the other day, and the one we have in the office, it's one about you actually, and it was someone who obviously interviewed you and spent some time with you, and we're talking about your heart, and saying that your heart was really soft, and you had a real passion for the poor, a real passion for those in need. And is that something in your ministry you're doing right now, about looking out for those who are marginalised and poor?
Yeah, this is something that started when we found the orphanage. Maybe Teddy, you can tell the first time we went.
So the next photo, which I think Teddy's.
Yes. At the end of the communist time, we discovered there were more than 150 orphanages. For most of them, we were not aware because they were hidden up in the mountains. Usually, the road just ends in front of this building, somewhere in the forest, away from the people. And you have to understand that every orphan was either abandoned by their parents, or mostly they were children that were sick. And any child that was sick at that time was considered to be a failure by the government. See, the communists were saying we're going to build this healthy society, everyone's going to be so healthy and so good, and then everyone that didn't happen to be healthy was seen as a failure. So they would hide them in those places and kind of feed them and look after them, and if they died, that's fine. They wouldn't kill them, but they were failures to society. So we discovered these 150 places with so many children. I would never forget my first visit to an orphanage. I was about 18, just got my driving license, so we went there by an invitation actually of a lady that came to church and said, you know, there is this place there, there are 140 children there, they're all without clothes, not much food. We need to do something. And in those days there was a coupon system in Serbia because the community had collapsed, nothing was there in the shops. We had money, but there was nothing to buy. So the church kind of got itself together. We got everything we could possibly get from our homes, clothes, food. Had 3 or 4 cars loaded with food.
It was amazing because we didn't know anyone from England or from any other place at that time. We didn't have any resources we could draw on, and they couldn't help us there because these children really are desperate. They walked 5 kilometers every day to go to a kitchen nearby. No matter whether it was winter, if it was hot summer, it was awful. And then we told the church and we told our non-Christian colleagues, and it was amazing how God worked in their hearts as well, and how some of them became Christians through what happened.
So here we are. We're not even married at that time. I'm 18, and we're delivering this first load of 3 cars goods. And we reached this place, the lady took us there, and there were literally 130 children maybe around. And I thought they were all boys, because their hair was all shaped. Later we realized most of them were girls, but that was the way they kept hygiene in those days. They were not very well dressed, not to say almost half dressed. But I remember we were trying to deliver this food, and suddenly I found myself being surrounded by maybe about 10 children. It was in the middle of the summer, so shorts, t-shirt, and suddenly I realized I felt a lot of pain, physical pain. Then I realized they're actually pinching me, they were trying to take my hair away from my hands. And I didn't know, it didn't make any sense to me, so I told them away, but they wouldn't go away.
told them that they wouldn't go away. So at some point, I was really cross with them, and I said, "Why are you doing this? What is the problem? Why are you trying to take my hair away?" And a brave boy, maybe 6 or 7 years old, came forward with brown eyes, looked up at me and said, "Sir, are you a man?" I didn't know what kind of question that might be. So I said, "Why are you asking this thing?" "Well, tell me, please, are you a man?" "Yes, I'm a man." "Will you be my father?" Was that good? Now later I realized most of the people that actually took care of these children were all women. They could not have any contact almost with any man. So I was their chance. And they were checking whether I was a man. So once they were happy I was a man, this guy didn't want to listen to me. I was 18. So I didn't know how to answer that question. I'm a product of a Sunday school and a youth group, so I said, "Okay, I'll tell you about a father and his name is Jesus," and I tried to preach this, but his question was different. "Will you be my father?" That was a defining moment in my life. I was never the same. And in our life later. So a good question, I mean, you could never really go on in the same way after the question like that.
It's about opportunity also. You see people who are no different than you, who could have done totally different if they had a different opportunity. And it just breaks your heart. And especially when you start doing little things and you see them picking up and doing the best they can with the little thing you're giving them. You want to do more and more. And to give opportunities wherever you can. And it breaks your heart sometimes when you have to choose.
So in these days, it is the illiterate Roma children which are literally surrounding the church. Not so many orphans that much because they're close most to the orphanage. They do different things. I'll tell you about them tomorrow. But lots of refugees. We see the problem everywhere. The needy people are always around. The big question is, do we have eyes for them? It's so easy to close your eyes and do church and say, "My calling in this life is to go to them." I'll do it in fear and then we forget about the rest of the world.
And when you have only that much, how much of it to this and how much of it to the other one?
I mean, that's just, again, it's so challenging, isn't it? Talking about those experiences, and I guess we're all challenged tonight by some of those experiences you've been through. But I want to take you on a bit further, if I can. And this lorry, I believe, has some significance.
Well, let me just start that. We're so privileged to know so many of you, and especially, Gary, Derek, and Jane as well. I'll never forget when we were still, actually, yes, we were still in Bristol. And I'm thinking of the two people that we've known for longest in England. And Jane and I determined when it had been on how pregnant I was, wasn't it?
No, you have to listen to this. Derek is driving the car, and Didi and Jane are talking about history. So at some point they're trying to determine which year exactly was that and which month. So at some point, the women, determine it in this way. Didi asked Jane, "Was I pregnant then?" And Jane says, "Yes, you were." "What month?" To which Derek and I just didn't know what to do. If I could change my seat and go in the booth, I would have done it. What question is this? Only a woman can ask a woman such a question and get an answer. Sorry,
You get an answer, very accurate.
The man, are you with me? What kind of question is that? What month I was born?
So it was 1992. Right.
Yeah, the third month, the 27th day.
No, we didn't get that far. That's the picture exaggerating. Well, it's been really wonderful. It's been a long journey, and it's been a wonderful journey because we were in desperate need when we began to be in contact with them. There was sometimes people had some money. There was absolutely nothing to buy in the shops right after the communist time. Then different things happened, like 2,000% inflation and other economic issues. So it was very difficult. And exactly that time is when we started doing the food process. What is the lorry with food prices?
Yes, the family food parcels, we had a name for that program. What was it?
Harvest for the Hungry.
Harvest for the Hungry. This lorry was full of parcels. Came to Bulgaria. What Derek and I didn't know, because Derek and Jen had come to just see some of the distribution and take the photos that you're now watching. What is now 30 years ago. What we didn't know was the mafia was expecting that lorry as well. And the trick was they would try to find some kind of a traffic offense. Speeding or something of wrongful parking, as it is in this case, and then they would force the driver to pay a fine. But of course, the fine could only be paid within the working hours of whatever office there. So the driver then couldn't pay his fine that day, and he needed to park the lorry at a certain car park. You couldn't choose which one; they would tell you which one. And then during the night, the market people will come and rob the lorry.
And
So
sell the stuff
I
afterwards.
say sell all the food. That was something we were told later was their goal. So they were following this lorry from the border, and the lorry did about 300 kilometers without any traffic offense until the moment we were about to unload some of the packages. And at that time, at that moment, the local traffic police stopped the lorry and said, "You have parked here illegally." And you need to, they arrested the driver first, and then you need to park the lorry at a certain place. And of course, I didn't leave the driver on his own. So Derek and Jane were praying in the car. And then I got in the police station and almost got arrested myself. I threatened them with the Queen first. This didn't work out very well. So this is coming from England, and the Queen of England is going to know about it. And they were not very sure about that. And I traveled down with the ambassador in Sofia, and that did the trick. So at the end of the day, they gave me a deal. They said, "We're going to let the lorry go, but you're going to take the punishment for the driver of the lorry." So they took my driving license, and I couldn't have it for about 6 months. And I felt substitution and redemption in real terms. I mean, it goes better than a sermon. So that lorry is one of the moments in which evangelism got me arrested, and I lost my driving license.
Okay, who do we blame for that? Gary or Derek? One of them. Not before my time. Great. We are running over slightly. Are you okay for another 5 minutes? This is great, isn't it? Your mic? No,
I tend to do that to technology, so maybe.
Oh, we don't mind doing a bit of crackling, do we?
Don't allow you to touch any of your technology.
No. I think this is a similar picture, isn't it?
This is the same lorry unloaded after it was actually released from the police station.
Okay.
So we could deliver the packets, and those are Roma people. You can see one of them sitting on the packet. The city there is called Blagoevgrad, and there is a little Roma church. So this particular number of packets, I can't remember how many, maybe 50 or 60 ones. Small families.
Yeah.
Used to be the pastor.
Is that you then with the glasses?
No, that's my husband.
That's me. That is me now. I'm getting younger and younger.
It's my ordering of them, you see.
Better than building all the bridges than the new one.
No, what I don't want to do is steal your thunder for tomorrow, but I've got 2 photos. Are you going to bring them tomorrow, or shall I not use them tonight? Okay, this will give you a bit of an appetizer for tomorrow, so you'll be here, hopefully. So this is an interesting picture.
2004, 20th of September, exactly, we had bought a piece of land in the center of Sofia, and this is 2 years later, we're praying over the land. That Sunday, we knew that a couple of days later, the diggers were going to come and start to dig the foundations of the new church and social training center. Yeah, and that's one of the pictures in which when people looked at it over the next 12 years, they said, "You have a very interesting project, meaning you're crazy." Started with a prayer though.
You go to heaven, Jerry, that's my dad next to my husband there.
Amazing.
The interesting guy is the third one, the second one to my left, or your right. this guy is not a Christian. He's going to be the technical organizer of this building site, and they didn't know what to do with their hands. Quite disturbing there. Even more, the funny thing, just before I prayed, bringing so many memories. Just before I prayed, I reminded everyone that the day on which we got the papers to start the digging process of a new church and training center was the 9th of September. This will have any significance to you. But for us, the 9th of September was the victory of the communist regime. On the 9th of September, every year, for as long as we could remember ourselves, we had big manifestations with army present there, and we would march in front of, we had not a red square, but a yellow square, and we would shout, "Long live the Soviet Union and the unity between Bulgaria and the Soviet Union." Yes, and on the 9th of September, the government in 2004 allowed us to start building the church. Saying more or less the same, and it was the communists at that time again back in power. So the same people who used to persecute us actually gave us permission to start. So I've said all of this, and this guy is a communist, and he's there to look after the building site. And I said, now we're going to pray to this God, and he doesn't know what to do.
Brilliant. There's a couple of slides here you may, or pictures here. You will remember that. That's a significant day. It's a photo I actually took.
Yeah, that's the old church. And inside, just before we move on to the opening of the new church, lots of memories for us there, all of us. And then we left that place to go to the new, but that was not good enough.
Of course, shows how long you've been in that old church.
Otherwise, the church is old. It was started in 1888, and in that building, it's so much to you.
And a couple of quick ones here. Obviously, I had to find some of Didi. I didn't find many of Didi, but I've got one here, so you're really in prayer there. I see that must be in the basement of your new church or something.
Actually, it looks like the foyer or even the hall. Maybe even the hall. It looks totally different now. Yes, we had lots of times when we went and we just and we forgot to provide. And that was one of these times.
And here's another, just another one we did.
We so much wanted to move to this place. We've been building for 12 years. I mean, Ted will share more about this tomorrow. But we had a carol service there with candles, and we celebrated 130 years.
The carol service, the temperature was -12.
Yeah, so it was a good
And
time.
So everyone is standing. We're not that charismatic in Stockholm, but everyone is standing.
And the 103rd celebration was not any better, but we were trying to keep the place, but it didn't work. Everybody had their coat, and it was very long servicing. And then they said they would vote to move immediately because it was so much more comfortable. But unless we fixed the heating, they wouldn't do it.
So all of that effort, I know this is something we will talk about tomorrow, and it's been your life for the last 10, 12 years. So this was just something new, piling into a new church on that first Sunday morning.
Yes. The end of the new beginning, well, the beginning, I don't know what to say. It's the end for one thing, it's the beginning for another thing. It's the end of the building, it's the beginning of the functioning of the building itself with all the ministries in it. We've moved the ministries, but we still have a lot more to do. I'm not going to mention more because I will say more tomorrow.
I'm sure. So what I've picked up from these guys tonight is that they've made a difference in the countries they've been working in, the towns they've been working in, and their testimonies, all of them, are just amazing. And I know you're going to hear more from them tomorrow. This was just to tempt you to be expectant tomorrow for God to turn up and to really encourage us, but also challenge us. And so I want to thank them for coming up here tonight and going through a bit of not a grilling, but seeing some old big pictures. And I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure I did. So let's give them a big round of applause and thank them. We'll do it tomorrow sometime, but if not, you can make your own introductions to the team. They're around, they're in red shirts, But while I'm just waffling before we go off to the next thing and give you instructions for tomorrow, these are the 4 new people. Actually 3, because only last year Chile was around. The other 3 are brand new to the team. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow and Sunday. But please take time to meet with them. And also please take time to meet our guests. We want to welcome them, we want to give them a good British welcome, don't we? And bless them and encourage them, pray with them. Yeah, it's just it's so good to be with you all and for you to come and spend time in your busy schedules to just come and share with us what's going on. So, tomorrow morning, this is just now a bit to tell you where we're going from here. So, after tonight, if you want to, it should have been at 10 o'clock, but we can be a bit later. We should have been for a quiz. I think a lot of you probably would just want to go off and relax and catch up with some Zeds in bed. But if not, then Chile's going to run a quiz, I believe, down in the captain's bar. So if you want to follow down the captain's bar, fine. But bearing in mind, it's 7:30 for prayer for those who want to pray in the morning, and that's in Wilbur Room, which is down in the main house. I'll show you a map in a moment. It's on the back of your, and on the maps you have. It's near behind where the restaurant is, and you need to look for the Wilby Room. It's written in your programs, so that's clear, I hope. Then after that, breakfast, where we had dinner this evening, so that's straightforward. So we come out of the prayer room if you're in the prayer. If you're coming straight down from bedroom, then fine, come to the main courtyard room for breakfast, where we're having breakfast from 8. And then as you can see, we're going to have devotional back in here. For those of you, this is the Creasy and Minden news. So here we'll be in the morning at 9:45, and then okay, we've not I've got that wrong. Sorry. And are we at 10:15? Thank you. So my Freudian slip then. There are a couple of little omissions or typos in the handouts. If you can find it, or maybe we'll give you a little prize. Pretty easy to find. So yes, and then back in here for the first session, which is at 10:15. So we're coming in for worship, and John Blanchard is coming to share the morning word with us in the morning here, and then the rest of the day we'll talk about after that. I know Diddy's off to Didcot, Oxford tomorrow, so we pray for her as she travels and that she gets back safely for the evening, because I think she's one of the star attractions tomorrow night. So we must have her back here, and of course Amy, her daughter's going as well with us, so we need them both back here. And I believe we're going to have some song and I think dance and something else. Anyway, I won't steal their thunder. So, any questions before we head off to what you want next? Have I missed anything, Tim? Ken?